Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rahahakodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. All right, and this is Prophecy Watch, linking the things we see happening all throughout the four corners of the earth, tying them to biblical prophecy, all right, so that the elect can be comforted, all right, through these trying times, as this is pretty much the only comfort we have, all right, is rooted in prophecy. And prophecy leads to division of Esau, Edom's beast system, all right, and ultimately civil unrest, all right, the MOTB being implemented, all right, World War III breaking out, and the deliverance, all right, of the elect of the nation of Israel, all right, the remnant, all right, that are going to be gathered, all right, from the Babylon the Great, which is America, all right, that's going to be the main deliverance, the new spiritual Egypt, as well as throughout the four corners of the earth, all right, and that first fruits, that first resurrection will be restored back to our original estate directly under Yahweh Shai as the first fruit spirits, all right, in our own particular order. All right, of course, the 12 disciples will have their original order as well as the rest of the 144,000. And you're also going to have a large multitude gathered, all right, from the four corners of the earth. This is what we are looking forward to. All right, but we know that before these things take place, there's prophecy that has to be played out. All right, all of the things that are written in the volume of the book, all right, must come to pass. This is why we do these videos, so that you can know that we are in those times, perfect your faith, and ultimately cry on Yahweh through Yahweh Shai to get us out of this place, all right? And please continuously throw up curses on Babylon the Great and this beast system, man, because if you're in this thing, man, you should be bitter. You should be, hoping, all right, for a new, all right, righteous system to be set up, man, because this is completely out of control and it's completely wicked. So as you can see here, we have an article from RT, all right, Stoltenberg, okay, cautions against prophecies over the end of NATO. So Stoltenberg, which he is the NATO secretary, all right, which the word NATO actually means birth, okay, and NATO and the EU, all right, of course, along with Babylon the Great, fulfilled the rebirth, all right, of the Western Roman Empire, all right. Now it all goes back to the deadly wound being healed, starting at the Renaissance, okay, and Satan and the children of Satan will be loosed for a little season. We're just at the end of their little season, all right, and their power is getting ready to be taken away. Now, he's cautioning, as you can see here, against prophecies over the end of NATO. Now, as we go into prophecy, we tell you that the Lord, all right, through his only begotten Son, through prophecy, is going to break up this beast system, scatter them, divide them, and send them to war with one another. All right, they're also going to fight against the second coming of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, and they're going to lose. Now it says here, member states are reportedly wary of a shift in U.S. policy towards the bloc if Donald Trump is reelected as president. And if you know anything about Trump, when he was in office, he constantly balked at, members of NATO, members of the EU, for not putting enough money into the pot, because this whole beast system was to forward the power of America, all right, and America's dominance throughout the four corners of the earth. That's why America is called the hammer of the earth, and it uses, the NATO and the EU to reinforce, all right, and to put a stamp on these nations, all right, and pretty much that's what gives him and his dollar, all right, power, all right, is ultimately a big part of it is the sword. And NATO is a big part of that. But we're living in a time where the Heavenly Father is dividing NATO. You see, Rome is breaking up. But as you can see here, as a matter of fact, when Donald Trump was in office, to give you an example, all right, Trump's plan for NATO is emerging. All right. Trump's advisors envision a radical reorientation in which Washington takes a back seat to Europe and cuts a deal with Putin over Ukraine. Okay. So it's all breaking up. Former President Donald Trump has consistently expressed, all right, PQ that NATO allies rip us off by not meeting the 2% spending target. And when he was in office, he was constantly arguing at NATO, arguing at EU. Okay. And many of the NATO and the EU members, all right, are growing weary with Babylon the Great because of sanctions, all right, leading them into, wars that really, all right, shouldn't be had. But ultimately, this is all prophecy. Okay. The scriptures say, travel not with a bold fellow. Okay. You have America. That's that bold fellow leading all of his friends and allies into, wars and particular things that are ruining their own, all right, setup. All right. Donald Trump has threatened to leave NATO so many times, or has prepared to, all right, anyway, that for many of his critics, it's a question of when or not whether he ditched the 75-year-old alliance, all right, if he's reelected president in November, all right? And this alliance was all a fulfillment of prophecy, okay, that ultimately Rome will be, reborn into the earth, man. It's a part of it, okay? Because remember, Rome had vassals. Rome was an idea that traveled, all right, to different, places where Rome wasn't physically at, okay, just like America. Okay, so this concept of the dominance of America, all right, these particular NATO and EU, members have helped forward that, but we're living in a time again where it's all being broken up. In truth, Trump would be unlikely to quit NATO outright, according to interviews with former Trump national security officials and defense experts who are likely to serve in a second Trump term. But even if he doesn't formally leave the organization, that doesn't mean NATO would survive a second Trump term. So pretty much the writing's on the wall that everything's going to be broken up now. It's looking like Trump may be the guy to get back in office. All right. But from what we're seeing now, Biden has stepped down, or Biden may have croaked. It may have took him out. Who knows what's going on with that? We'll see. But Kamala Harris is in talks. Okay, if Biden is indeed croaked, that would by default put her, as the United States of America. All right, and that's going to drive people crazy, especially these nationalists, these white nationalist Edomites. That's going to lead to war. And if Trump loses the election, all right, they're talking about civil war being broke out. So the elites have a lot up their sleeve. All we have to do is continue to watch. But as you can see here, it says, in return for continued U.S. participation, Trump will not only expect that European countries drastically increase their spending on NATO, and that's all for the purpose of Babylon, okay, to continue being a bully and a hammer throughout the earth. His main complaint when he was president, all right, but also to undertake one defense expert familiar with the thinking inside Trump's National Security Advisory Circle, Dan Caldwell, describes as a radical reorientation of NATO. We don't really have a choice anymore, Caldwell told Politico, all right, magazine, citing rising U.S. debt, all right, flagging military recruiting, and a defense industrial base that can't keep up with the challenge from both Russia and China. So America's waning. Nobody wants to join their military. Recruiting is down. All right, they're losing power. So they have to depend more on NATO, all right, and the EU, all right, to be there for them. But we're living in a time where, again, America is losing allies. All right. Now, you could look more into that, but let's go back to this article here. All right. That Stoltenberg, okay, the secretary, all right, general of NATO, is cautioning against prophecies over the end of NATO. And that prophecy can be found in the scriptures. Okay. Member states are reportedly wary of a shift in U.S. policy toward the bloc if Donald Trump is reelected as president. Western countries should not create self-fulfilling prophecies suggesting that a second Donald Trump presidency would mean the end of NATO, all right, because they're not putting more money into the pot, okay, to benefit Babylon the Great. Okay, and it's a reason why they're not putting more money into the pot, because they're starting to see, all right, that the support of Babylon the Great is ruining their countries. All right, and again, remember, Turkey, which is pretty much the biggest military might of NATO, we know that prophetically and from what we're seeing, they're going to side with Russia. Okay, now the end of NATO is written in scripture. Let's get the book of Isaiah, the 55th chapter, right? Isaiah 55:11. It says, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper, all right, in the thing whereunto I sent it. You see? And when you go to the book of Daniel, the 2nd chapter, right, it prophesies the end, all right, of NATO, the EU, and the breaking up of this beast system. Okay? What made them dominant was the sword, all right, and their, alliances that they have with one another. Well, again, when you read Daniel, the 2nd chapter, in the 40th verse, Rome, the fourth kingdom, which was Rome, shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things. That's what Rome did. Rome is what gave this beast system its power and authority, and that's the authority that has been rebirthed into the earth starting at the Renaissance until now. And as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise. And that's what Rome did. All right. And the revival of Rome did it in an even greater fashion. All right. With the alliance of the NATO and the EU aiding Babylon the Great. Okay. They were able to take over the world. See, and whereas thou sawest the feet, all right, the very end of the vision, all right, the 10 toes, all right, which is the revival of Rome, part potter's clay and part iron. The kingdom shall be divided, and we're witnessing that division. Let's look up the word divided. We're witnessing, all right, this beast system be divided. And what does the scripture say about a kingdom divided? Palag, like Peleg, to divide, to be divided. All right. They still have the power of the sword, but they're split economically. They're split morally. They're split on how they want to move forward with particular things. They're divided on who's going to have what moving into this new beast system that they want, where they're going to have the charagma. Many nations have come to the conclusion, all right, that they will be better without, all right, Babylon the Great. Okay? That Babylon and what it represents is old. Now it's time for something new. See? So the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it the strength of the iron. They still have the strength of the sword. Okay? For as much as thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay. The miry clay represents what? The division that they have economically. The division that they have spiritually, morally. All right? The divisions they have with the sanctions that America is telling these particular countries to put on Russia, which is ruining the economies of Europe. Europe is in shambles because of these sanctions following United States of America, man. Okay? So again, they have the iron, the strength of the iron, which is the sword. Remember, Edom was blessed with the sword, but the Lord is breaking it up. That's why Yahweh Shai is known as the breaker. And as the toes of the feet were part iron and part clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. See, it's partly strong and partly broken. All right. In order for a kingdom to fully continue, it has to be fully strong. It can't be partly broken. Okay. And if Satan is divided, let's get that real quick. Matthew 12 and 26. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then, all right, shall his kingdom stand? Okay. How can his kingdom stand? See if we can get a precept to that. Okay. How is his kingdom going to stand if he's divided? Okay. Well, it isn't. Okay. And whereas thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, meaning they will go throughout these particular countries and make alliances. Okay. But they shall not cleave one to another, meaning they're not going to keep these alliances, even as iron is not mixed with clay. You see, in the book of Obadiah, right? We'll get back to the article. The book of Obadiah says what? Obadiah, verse 7, all the men of thy confederacy, all right, your allies, have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread, meaning they that have taken hold of that debt, okay, that dollar, have laid a wound under thee. And this is why they're all lining up with Russia secretly with this BRICS thing. Okay, then they're laying a wound under thee, and ultimately there is no understanding. Okay, in Babylon the Great, there's no understanding in the small hats who they fight for. Shall I not in that day, saith Yahweh, destroy even the wise men out of Edom and the understanding out of the mount of Esau? And they're so greedy and power hungry, and they're so proud that they don't understand that they're being set up for their own demise. And the elites of this whole thing think that they're in control, but they're getting ready to shortly find out that they're not. So in the days of these kings, all right, the end of the beast system, shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and that kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it's going to be left to the saints, the Israelites. But it shall break in pieces and subdue all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever, man. Okay, so the Lord is getting ready to break this thing up. But as you can see in this article, this guy is of the opinion that they're going to continue forever. Okay, it says Western countries should not create self-fulfilling prophecies. Okay, because Babylon has gotten, beside itself, suggesting that a second Donald Trump presidency would mean the end of NATO. The bloc Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has said in an interview with The Guardian published on Thursday. The NATO chief said member countries should not fear for the bloc's future under Trump. All right, whether it's Trump, whether it's Kamala, whether whoever it is, it's all going to be broken up. And the Lord is going to use all of these various different nations that are allied with Babylon to help and aid in its destruction. That's written in the scriptures. You see, it says, but build a relationship with his administration like they did in 2016, regardless of his campaign rhetoric. And the Lord and the plans for this whole beast system is that it be broken up. What we decided in 2016 was, of course, to engage with the new administration, not least because the questions were asked about whether the U.S. was supportive of NATO. Stoltenberg told the outlet on the sideline of European political community meeting, all right, in UK. In an apparent effort to appease NATO members, Stoltenberg claimed that Trump's criticism had not been directed at the U.S.-led military bloc itself. See, the U.S.-led military bloc. NATO is a U.S.-led military bloc, and U.S. presidents constantly depend, all right, on NATO members to put their money in the pot to help defend Babylon as it goes throughout the four corners of the earth, waging war and being the hammer. Okay? U.S. led military bloc itself, but towards countries that were not spending enough on defense. Okay? Because America is lacking in defense. They're so offensive, just like ancient Rome. They're spread throughout the four corners of the earth. They got their noses in all of these different affairs that they haven't spent any money on defense like that. And if you don't have defense, okay, it's only so long that your offense can be your defense, man. All right. A good boxer, you know, sometimes you have particular boxers who their offense is their defense, meaning they're constantly throwing punches. They're all over the place. It's hard to get a read on them. But eventually, all right, a good a counter punch will come. And that counter punch is going to come, all right, through Yahweh Shai. Let's get the scriptures real quick, because their teeth, which is their military, is going to be broken by the right hand of the Most High, man, which is Yahweh Shai. Psalms 58:6, break their teeth, O God, in their mouth. Break the great teeth of the young lions, O Yahweh. And the great teeth represent the military might of Esau Edom. Okay? He's going to break their teeth. Okay? Let them melt away as waters which run continually. When he bendeth the bow to shoot his arrows, let them be, all right, as cut in pieces, man. And ultimately, that war is going to break out between all of these Edomite nations, all right, which is going to lead to world war. Okay, but it's going to start with, okay, Israel being assaulted by Russia and the different countries aligned with them. America's going to be drawn into it, and World War III is going to break out, and all of these nations is going to use that as an opportunity to destroy this place. You see what I'm saying? Psalms 98, right? Let's get Psalms 98. All right. And 1. Oh, sing unto Yahweh a new song, for he have done marvelous things. His right hand and his holy arm have gotten him the victory. Man, it's crazy. The only time I've been feeling good lately is while I'm doing a video, man, or doing the work. Outside of that, I'm miserable, I'm mad, I'm angry, I'm irritated. But going into these prophecies, man, it gives us life, man. We got to get out of here, man. Lord, please take this place down, man, and bring your kingdom. Okay, increase us in strength and faith to get through this, man, because this is hell. Okay, if you're really in the thick of it. Psalms 98:2, the Lord have made known his salvation, his righteousness hath he openly showed in the sight of the heathen. Okay, and is this the scripture I'm looking for? Oh yeah, let's read it again. Psalms 98:1, oh, sing unto Yahweh a new song, which the new song leads to the end of this place, man. For he have done marvelous things. His right hand and his holy arm have gotten him the victory. See? And his right hand is going to crush the teeth. Okay? It's going to break this place up, man. All right? And that's Yahweh Shai. His right hand is his holy arm, which is Yahweh Shai, man. You see? For all you New Testament bashers, man. Okay? The right hand, okay, as the scriptures say. Let's see here. It's Yahweh Shai. Psalms 80, I believe, see, goodness gracious. Psalms 80:17. Let thy hand be upon the man of thy right hand, upon the son of man, whom thou madest strong for thyself. And again, he's going to break this thing up, man. Okay? He's going to break the teeth of the roaring lions, man. Psalms 3:7, arise, O Yahweh, save me, O my God, for thou hast smitten all my enemies upon the cheekbone, thou hast broken the teeth of the ungodly. Psalms 10:15, break thou the arm of the wicked and the evil man, seek out his wickedness till thou find none. All right, so the Lord is getting ready to take down, Okay, the Esau Edom, which is the new Egypt, man. Okay, and their inward thought. Let's get that real quick in Psalms 49. Psalms 49 and 11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their land after their own names. Through conquering with the sword and being the devil, okay, they've got beside themselves, man. Many NATO states have for years struggled to reach the agreed threshold of the 2% defense spending for the purpose of Babylon, basically. But this push gained momentum after the start of Ukraine crisis in 2014, and especially after the launch of Russia's military operation in 2022, meaning we got to do something about this. According to The Guardian, efforts to make Western Europe Trump-proof were among priorities of the gathering amid fears of the U.S. presidential hopeful that the U.S. presidential hopeful is reportedly considering options to stop the Ukraine conflict, including a deal with Russia and bearing NATO expansion. And we know NATO ain't gonna stop expanding. They've broken every treaty that they promised with Russia, man. Concerns have reportedly been raised by some NATO member countries over a possible shift in U.S. policy after Trump announced Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, who was a strong opponent of Washington's aid for Kyiv and a staunch critic of U.S. involvement in foreign conflicts, as his running mate. Meaning, they want to make America great again. Let's stop getting into all of these useless conflicts. Let's do this. Let's do that. Yada, 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 man. The same old rhetoric, man. But as you can see here, all right, they're of the opinion, look, man, NATO ain't going to be broken up. Let's see here. Yada, yada, yada. I mean, you can keep reading it, but yeah, the NATO will end. All of these things will end. As a matter of fact, when you get Revelation, the 17th chapter, okay, let's start at Revelation 17 and 14. These shall make war with the Lamb. This beast system, all right, and all of the war they have with one another upon the return of Yahweh Shai, okay, they're going to fight against Yahweh Shai, right? These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. All right? The angels, man. Michael is a big part of that as well. And that's the war in heaven that's spoken about. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples, multitudes, and nations and tongues, meaning the power they had over all of the people, man. Which they're trying to extend that power, all right, through this mark that they got planned. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, all right, which ultimately is the EU, these shall hate the whore, all right, and NATO's going to join, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her with her flesh and burn her with fire. For the Most High hath put it in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree to give their kingdom unto the beast, to give their 2%, right, to work on behalf of strengthening Babylon the Great, all right, for NATO to be a threat to Russia's dominance. But now we're living in a time where NATO members are like, to hell with Babylon. Okay? EU members are like, to hell with Babylon. So the Lord have put it in their minds to give their kingdom into the beast system for the purpose of Babylon, until the words of the Lord be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which is Babylon, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. And the kings of the earth have grown mad and tired with Babylon the Great. Okay? So yes, the NATO will be broken up. Okay? Yes, there's going to continue being friction between NATO, America, EU, all of that. And eventually y'all are all going to go to war. Okay? Y'all all going to go to war. You see what I'm saying? And there's nothing but divisions going on amongst you Edomites everywhere you look. Okay? Everywhere you look is nothing but division. Check this out. White nationalist Dalton Clodfelter says we need to protect this country from demonic forces from Jewish influence and control by putting white Christian men back into power.
We need our people, we need Americans, white Christian Americans, to realize that we are from this soil, that we are from America, that we love this country. That without this country, we'd be somewhere else. We need to put this country first. We need to take care of this country. We need to protect this country from demonic forces, from Jewish influence and control. You know, Jews, they have no loyalty to America because they're loyal to Israel. Their loyalties lie outside of our borders. We have to take back this country, put white Christian men, specifically like Christianity needs to be emphasized. White Christian men back into positions of power so they can truly put America first, because many white Christian men identify, they understand that this nation is theirs. They built this nation. We need our people. We need Americans.
This is why they're behind Trump, but they don't understand that Trump, who's supposed to be an enemy of the deep state, an enemy, he supported, all right, the small hats more than anyone. Okay? As a matter of fact, hold 1 second. Let me get this video real quick. Now, this is a video from Geopolitical Economy Report. Pretty good video. It's called Donald Trump is Not a Threat to the Deep State. So a lot of these Edomites believe that Trump is somehow against the so-called deep state. But when in fact, when you really go into this guy and his policies, okay, he's just as for the deep state as anyone. But he puts this facade out there, man, and this has been showing you that these people are just absolutely stupid, man. But as you can see, the title is Trump says he was the best president in the history of Israel. Let's listen to some of this, man.
Start with today is Israel, because Israel continues to carry out horrific crimes against humanity in Gaza, bombing Gaza with billions of dollars of U.S. military support. Of course, Joe Biden, the Democratic U.S. president, is providing those bombs being used to kill children and women and elderly people and other civilians in Gaza. But Donald Trump and the Republican Party staunchly support those policies. And in fact, Donald Trump himself proudly said in 2024, in March, he said that he boasted that he was, quote, the best president in the history of Israel. Furthermore, the Israeli newspaper Haaretz reported on pro-Israel fundraisers that are happening in support of Trump. And in these pro-Israel fundraisers, they are proudly referring to Trump as, quote, the most pro-Israel president in history. They're raising money for Donald Trump's campaign, pro-Israel groups boasting that he is the most pro-Israel president. The Israeli apartheid regime itself agrees with that. Back when Trump was president, the far-right leader of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, created a settlement in the illegally occupied Golan Heights, which is Syrian sovereign territory that Israel has been illegally occupying for decades, according to international law. Well, Netanyahu went to this illegally occupied Syrian territory to open a new settlement that is called Trump Heights. It is named after Donald Trump in honor of Trump's staunch support for Israel. And of course, Trump moved the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, which is also occupied according to international
madness.
Law. Almost no other country on earth has done that. Only the U.S. and a few colonies and proxy regimes. And yet Donald Trump did that and boasted of doing that in support of Israel. And meanwhile, as Donald Trump is campaigning for president in 2024, he is telling donors at fundraisers that he wants to arrest and deport pro-Palestine protesters in the U.S. I'm reading here from the Times of Israel, which is
So the two horns like a lamb have you people in a stupor. You people really believe in this make America great again concept. But he's basically, again, this whole bipartisan system, they're all doing the same goddamn thing. All right, they're just going about it in different ways, man.
An Israeli newspaper titled, Trump says he'll deport anti-Israel student protesters if elected. In a fundraiser, Trump said, quote, "If you get me reelected, we're going to set that movement," that is the pro-Palestine movement, "back 25 or 30 years. It has to be stopped now." Trump said, quote, "One thing I do is any student that protests, I throw them out of the country." And he also said that it was beautiful watching police brutalize pro-Palestine protesters on college campuses in the US. Trump is literally as pro-Israel as it gets. He's proud of it. The irony is that the Democratic president, Joe Biden, is also as pro-Israel as it gets. He's sending billions of dollars of weapons to Israel as it's bombing children. And Trump wants to send even more weapons. In fact, in the disastrous debate in which Biden couldn't even tell you where he was, what the hour was, what his name was. I mean, Biden is so clearly in extreme cognitive decline.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat,
it's all an act, man. It's all planned, okay? And as people are waking up, Trump is a master showman. He tells the sheeple what they want to hear, all right, and tells the oligarchy, all right, he will serve. And that's what he's been doing, man. And he's like the last hope of Esau Edom, all right, having a great America, man. Okay, let's listen to this guy again, all right? You can watch the rest of this video.
But in that debate, Trump was criticizing Biden for supposedly not being pro-Israel enough. And as an insult, Trump referred to Biden as a Palestinian. That is how much he has dehumanized Palestinians, the indigenous peoples of Palestine who are being ethnically cleansed and bombed by Israel with US weapons. Trump hates Palestinians so much that he uses the word Palestinian as an insult.
Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one who wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one, and you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
And in fact, one of Donald Trump's strategies as he campaigns for president is he's saying that Palestinians are the same as the people who cross the U.S. border.
All right, you can watch more of this video, showing you that these Edomites are through. Well, let's listen to this guy again. Because, InfoWars is, they're Trump supporters. All right, white, Christian,
Americans, white Christian Americans, to realize that we are from this soil, that we are from America, that we love this country. That without this country, we'd be somewhere else. We need to put this country first. We need to take care of this country. We need to protect this country from demonic forces, from Jewish influence and control. Jews, they have no loyalty to America because they're loyal to Israel. Their loyalties lie outside of our borders. We have to take back this country, put white Christian men, specifically Christianity needs to be emphasized. White Christian men.
You see, this is let you know that white Christianity was rooted in the destruction of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And that's what Vocab Malone is standing on. So to hell with all of you. And all of you are through. All of you are divided. This place, America, is going downhill, man. And again, Israel is going to be a big part of that, as even here, AIPAC orders Americans to be loyal to Israel as Israel bombs Yemen. So again, America, the least of the flock. All right, let's get that real quick. In prophecy, it's going to draw America, all right, to war. So it's all playing out how prophecy said so, man. Call Halal Yahweh Shemi Al Shai. The least of the flock. Okay. Let's see here. Let's get this one. Jeremiah 50 and 45. Therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord that he have taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. This is the land of the Magi's, the Wiccans, the witches, the warlocks. Okay, it's all rooted in that. Surely shall the least of the flock draw them out. The least of the flock, all right, is Israel. All right, now when you look at this term least, give me 1 second here. The least of the flock. Okay, when you look at this whole beast system, all right, sometimes we ask ourselves, well, where does Israel, that's What's funny is the number right here is 1948. And what happened on May 15, 1948? Let's look it up for you real quick. Okay? On May 14, 1948, David Ben-Gurion, an atheist, all right, was established. This was established. So it's very interesting. You can look this guy up too. Do a web search. Yeah, David Ben-Gurion. Okay. And again, they didn't have the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in mind. They had forwarding Edomite supremacy. He was an atheist. Look at him. Look at this guy. Anyway, before we say too much, right? Again, he quoted the Bible, but he didn't even he didn't believe. He didn't believe in the Most High. But again, it's funny, the twat reference is 1948, but the least of the flock, it says little, insignificant, young, the younger. When you deal with this beast system, we know out of, you had the Greeks, the Romans, Germanian Major, Germanian Minor, the Spanish, the French, the British. Out of the British came the 13 colonies of the United States, but also out of the British came, all right, the state of Israel. Okay, this was a forwarding of Edomite colonization, man. So they're the youngest, all right, being established in 1948. So the least of the flock is going to draw out these nations to war. And this is where Babylon the Great is eventually going to be led, okay, to being destroyed, man. The American Israel Public Affairs Committee on Saturday ordered Americans to be loyal to Israel amid Israel's series of airstrikes on Yemen, which is eventually going to lead to, okay, Russia getting involved, man. Okay? And here it is. This is what they're going around the earth doing. Bombing, raping, robbing, murdering. Right? But for some reason, we're the focus. We're the bad guys. Even the camps that we don't agree with, they ain't got this kind of power. Madness. We ain't even got to look at it. Anyway, man. See if we had anything else. Work stress leads robot to jump to his death in South Korea, making it the first ever robot suicide. So everything's through here, man. Everything's absolutely through. Okay? Let's check this out. The Red Shield people, my family created Israel.
In modern Jewish history, and it begins with 3 words. Dear Lord Rothschild.
Dear Lord Rothschild, I have much pleasure in conveying to you, on behalf of His Majesty's government, the following declaration of sympathy with Jewish Zionist aspirations, which has been submitted to and approved by the Cabinet.
Why was it that this letter was sent by the Foreign Secretary to your great-uncle Walter?
It's an interesting question because it was primarily a movement from Eastern Europe, but they didn't clarify who was in charge of that movement. And in addition, it was, after all, in Great Britain. So they felt that the Rothschild family...
Britain. See? This all came through the British as well. When you deal with the state of Israel.
Should be the one to whom it was addressed. And Walter was Lord Rothschild, and he was a Zionist. And those really are the background reasons.
So Walter received the Balfour Declaration, and I have a copy here. And I wonder if I could possibly ask you to read it for us.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. I'm going to put on my spectacles to make sure I read it accurately. His Majesty's government view with favour the establishment of Palestine as a national home for the Jewish people, and will use their best endeavours to facilitate the achievement of this object, it being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine, or the rights and political status enjoyed by Jews in any other country. I should be grateful if you would bring this declaration to the knowledge of the Zionist Federation. Yours, Arthur Balfour.
And here it is, the Balfour Declaration. What do you feel when
And this is basically their fulfilling of going back to the Holy Land. This is the biblical fulfillment. So why doesn't Vocab Malone question them about this? Anyway.
you see it here?
I genuinely feel it's one of the most extraordinary moments in the history of the Jewish people. If you think it took 3,000 years to get to this. And then you say, how did this miracle happen? It's the most incredible piece of opportunism. I mean, if you think you had an impoverished would-be scientist, Chaim Weizmann, who somehow gets to England, meets a few people, including members of my family, seduces them. He has such great charm and conviction. He gets to Balfour, and he unbelievably persuades Balfour and Lloyd George, the Prime Minister, and most of the ministers, that this idea of the national home for Jews should be allowed to take place. I mean, it's so unlikely. And then he's, starts to fight a difficult battle with the British cabinet, and this letter goes through 5 drafts, as you know. And in the end, it comes out as a rather compromising letter. I mean, the essential point is there for the Jewish community to fasten on to. You have the first bit, which promises a national home rather than the national home, and then you have the bit.
And the national home for the true biblical Israelites is going to be the promised land that was given unto Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, not a portion of it, and it's going to be all 12 tribes, not just the Jews. Just a thought. And we're just in the news, all right? This is nothing, all right? This is fair use. We're just going into the news. This is actual history. This is actual things that happen. Just as other people who you allow their videos to stay up have an opinion, we have an opinion.
That nothing that's to be done should in any way harm the Arab community. But you come back to the big point, which is that this is perhaps the greatest event in Jewish life.
Yeah, this is the so-called greatest event, all right? But it's not a fulfillment of the true Israelites returning to that land. And see, this is where we are in prophecy, man, all right? Covering cast, let's get that, Isaiah 26. All of these deceptions, man, okay, are being undone. Isaiah 25:7, he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people. Okay, and these are $1 trillion, gazillion dollar lies that have controlled the narrative for years. And the veil that is spread over all nations, man. And when you look at the veil that's spread over all nations, that's these lies, man. Okay, and the word veil, ma-saka, goes to what? All right. Idols, man. Okay. Molten metal, molten gods, idols. The earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. And see, we're living in a time where all of these lies are being undone. But the breaker, all right, which is Yahweh Shah, he's coming to break all this madness up. Let's get that in the book of Micah, the 2nd chapter. The breaker has come up, therefore, before them. They have broken up and have passed through the gate and are gone out by it. And their king shall pass before them, and Yahweh, all right, on the head of them. All right, the breaker is speaking of Yahweh Shah. He's that great millstone that's going to break all of this madness up. But before he breaks it up, he's going to send his prophets out to tell the truth of the matter, which this is why they're all over the place. This is why ultimately we can clearly see that, hey, man, they're at the end of their world, man. All right, so I'm going to end it there. Hopefully I'll edify. Shalom.